Hi, everybody. I'm continuing to track what will be Hurricane Helene, and new today, the models are showing this could be a major Cat 3 or Cat 4 at landfall. Please let me know where you're watching from right now as I continue to track this. Here's the very latest. Our tropical models, even our global models, are showing this thing really blows up into a very strong major hurricane Wednesday into Thursday, then making landfall in Florida. I'm going to break down all that I know right now because I know you've got plans this week, whether you're in Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, or the Carolinas. You need to be dialed in on this system because here's the deal that's different with this one. It's moving so fast that what it's going to do here is it's going to give higher impacts farther inland than we're used to seeing with regard to the wind. Because it's moving so fast, it's not going to weaken as quickly as you would typically see normal systems do so. So let's break this down town by town, state by state, and hour by hour. As I'm going to give you all that I know right now and let you know with what regard you're going to see it. So new impacts that I'm seeing right now. The models are trending stronger today. That's what's new here. They're leaning a little bit more to the east, which means Central Florida, Orlando, if you have plans to be in that neighborhood as we move into this week, whether you're going to Disney, whether you're going to Universal, there's going to be some high impacts Thursday and Friday in that area. The models are leaning toward a Cat 3 or a Cat 4. Many of them are. There's basically two camps, which I'll show you in a moment. All or nothing, so to speak. So Tropical Storm Cat 1 is what some of the models are showing, but a large majority of them have trended stronger today to that Cat 3-4 landfall. That landfall, if I had to hone it in, would be Panama City Beach to Cedar Key. In those areas, no stranger to hurricanes in recent years. I know that, you know that. I'm going to break it down for you and give you a good idea of what's going on. And folks, my deal is to keep you posted through this storm, folks, because I know it can be so intimidating to know what's on the line here. So landfall would be Thursday in Florida. It's an extremely fast mover toward the north, and that's key for folks in Georgia and South Carolina. This system will hold its integrity with regard to wind well inland. So those winds that would normally be reserved for the coast could be well inland, even up through Greenville, Charlotte, and Atlanta. Flash flooding will be present Thursday night into Friday, and widespread school many school disruptions later this week. It's very possible from Florida to Georgia to the Carolinas. And ball games. You got JV and you got varsity football games in addition to the other ball games in town. We've got to watch this because it's one of those situations where it's going to be a soaking washout for a large part of it. Some will try to play on Friday because it's moving out. Some will try to play Thursday in anticipation of the worst of it. So we're going to help you plan all that out, as well as look closer at power outage concerns. So let's look at the system right now as it's beginning to blow up. A lot of convection. I mean, the cards are on the table here, folks. It's just got to be put together. I like to use the analogy of we've got all the ingredients for a cake on the table. We just haven't made the cake yet. So you have a very conducive environment here in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, and you also have plenty of moisture and an environment that's not going to inhibit this. So all that's there. And look at that blow up right in here at the center of circulation area. That's some intense convection here. This thing's really going to start to organize, I think, tomorrow. I'm going to show you the latest track from the Hurricane Center. This is the official guidance from them. Look at this for you folks watching right now here at home in Greenville and Spartanburg and Anderson. We'll very likely have a tropical storm splitting the area here. Continuing sustained winds at 40 miles per hour. That means the gusts are even higher than that as it rolls through Friday morning. Landfall, Cat 2, 110 miles per hour. That's getting very close to that Cat 3 major hurricane status. And the National Hurricane Center is very reserved. Just to give you some inside baseball here, they're very reserved in their forecast. They don't go right out of the gate and say Cat 3, only to have to dial it back down, because you know what that does? That lets people let their guard down. If you start at a Cat 3, then bring it down to a Cat 2, people are like, it's not as bad. No, it's still bad, right? So what you're seeing here is a little bit of psychology from the National Hurricane Center is they're seeing the same models that I am, is the fact that this thing could really blow up into a Cat 3, Cat 4, which is why you see it here behind me. I'm very careful and diligent with my headlines that I put out. What I see is what you're going to know. I don't I don't hide anything from you, but I try to give you that information responsibly because I know that how the interwebs work. All right, it's also in an environment down here in the Caribbean and the Gulf that is extremely ripe. You see these darker colors kind of shaded behind it. That is the water temperature and the heat content just through the roof. This is an area that the last area that you would want a tropical entity this time of year, because it's the area with the most fuel and the least amount of wind shear. There's not a lot of fronts that make it down this far yet, so there's little wind shear. The front that's actually going to steer this is actually draped across the southeast today into tomorrow, and it's going to nudge this thing north very quickly. Notice from hour 72 to hour 96, it's blazed through a landfall and almost 2-3 states away. So that's kind of a deeper dive here of what's happening. Landfall is Thursday, Friday morning at 9 a.m. It's over Greenville, South Carolina, and then by Saturday at 9 a.m., it's up here toward the Midwest and gone. All right, so our conditions rapidly improve Friday evening into the overnight hours. What's the ship's model say? Well, it shows the wind gradually going up here to hurricane status, then crashing at landfall. But notice the steady decline. It's not a rapid decline. Wind shear does grow up as it gets closer to landfall. Sea surface temperature, of course, crashes, but it's sitting here in this environment over the next 72 hours. It's just off the charts. I mean, literally almost off this chart, all right? The relative humidity that it has to work with, again, almost as ideal as it can be. And the heat content in the ocean. Like I mentioned, you're putting all these different ingredients. Each one of these ingredients is some flour, is some sugar. You put all that together and you have a cake. I mean, again, the heat content in this part of the Caribbean and the Gulf is literally almost off this chart. All right, so let's show you what the models are showing. Yikes. Hate to see this. I mean, Cat 3, Cat 4 is what some of our more recent tropical entity models. Now we have models, just to give you a little breakdown. We have models that are specialized in tropical nature, and they're also our global models, which give us our daily weather, right? Both are very effective, and they've come a long way. I mean, we're ranging in there. Cat 2 would be the minimum median up to a Cat 3, and then you have these higher tropical models that are showing Cat 4, and you have some of these others, 3 that are below a Cat 2. 3 out of the 10 or 12 models. Let's show you where those same models predict this is going. They've got it heading on a beeline between Destin and Panama City over through Santa Rosa, maybe as far east as Cedar Key, but the models have been pretty consistent here with Panama City right up through the north. Of course, this area is no stranger. Had Hurricane Michael nearby, Mexico Beach. Climbs right up through Atlanta and kind of hugs to the right as it gets absorbed by an upper level low. That upper level low comes in like this, the dip in the jet stream, and basically scoops us up. That's why you see a left turn there. It kind of scoops it up and gobbles it up. That's kind of a better look at it right here. It just envelops the upper level low right there. But here's the official track. There's the mean of them and the other ancillary ideas of that, which is really, really interesting to see how this is unfolding. So we've really, really got to watch that closely. Let's look at the individual models, folks, and I want to caution you here. Here's my one word of caution is we're friends here online, and again, if you appreciate this no-nonsense approach to forecasting and you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing to this channel right now. I'm going to keep you posted on not only this, but any severe weather event. But my goal here is to show you and be transparent of what I'm seeing. I've been a meteorologist on TV for 20 years, and I think that's the most effective way of doing things. I've got to explain it to you and couch it to you in a responsible way, but I'm not going to wait till 2 days before it when I know for certain what's going to happen. I'm going to be transparent and tell you what I see when I see it so you can make your plans. So what I see here is tomorrow, a tropical storm or a hurricane forming quickly, emerging into the Gulf, where this model, the GFS, along with other multiple models, shows rapid intensification. So from a tropical storm to a Cat 3 in no time, with a landfall shortly thereafter. So from Tuesday to Thursday, this thing's made landfall already. A lot of hurricanes this season or in past, you got 7, 8, 9, 10 days to hear about it and then prepare. This is 48 hours, folks. I need you to pay attention in Florida. From Orlando to Tampa, Sarasota, up through Cedar Key, through Panama City Beach, Rosemary, Seaside, everybody west of there through Destin, even as far west as Pensacola. It's kind of the farther west that our models go. But even New Orleans, I mean, weirder things have happened for this to kind of jog west. But you're talking about a monster, staring down the barrel of a monster right here. You got Cat 1 or 2 by Wednesday night. Rapid intensification continues here. This low pressure gets down to 950. That's a major hurricane, folks, and it's very close. So storm surge would begin to be a real concern here for Tampa Bay, into Sarasota. You've got a monster Cat 3, Cat 4 just off your shore. You're not getting in on the worst of the winds, but you're certainly getting some inland flooding and some onshore flow that is creating just some dangerous rip currents at the very least. 945 low. This is getting into the Big Bend region of Florida. 953, so somewhere around a Cat 3, Cat 4 at landfall, and this thing just barrels to the north. And because it's moving so quickly, it is still a 973 low. That's still a hurricane over Augusta, Georgia. All right, yowza. Approaching the I-20 corridor as a Cat 1, Cat 2 hurricane. And locally here, folks, I have big concerns about our wind potential. If this verifies, I'm going to zoom in here to South Carolina. If this verifies, we're going to have some significant wind here. So looking at that same model, this would put hurricane force winds in the upstate of South Carolina through Augusta. Now the trend has been to lean a little bit to the right here. And if that happens, you get on the west side of the storm, it becomes more gentle. So that's where these 40-mile-an-hour winds come in for Chattanooga, even Atlanta in this scenario. But again, that's why that track is so important if it leans one way or the other. But in this scenario, it basically barrels right through the upstate and brings borderline Cat 1 conditions to the upstate Friday morning, Friday afternoon. So again, folks in Greenville, Greenwood, Anderson, Spartanburg, there's going to be some impacts if this continues to basically our daily lives Thursday and Friday, okay? It's not going to be business as usual around town. Things will be closed. Schools will likely be closed if this scenario were to pan out. I mean, you're talking about a hurricane, plain and simple, a hurricane right over western North Carolina and the upstate of South Carolina. This is what the European and the GFS have hinted. I'm going to show you all three here, so I'm going to walk you through it all. So stay with me, town by town, state by state, all right? So that's the GFS model. Here's what that would look like for rain. So when does the rain begin in my town? Panhandle, Florida in general, that's Wednesday. You're going to start to get some rain Wednesday. This continues to the north, and boy, oh boy, here comes that landfall. You're talking about the Big Bend region of Florida, almost a similar situation to last year. This moves north very quickly, and in this scenario, the GFS rather, brings rain to Atlanta and Greenville by Thursday afternoon. It's just pouring Thursday evening, Thursday night, Friday morning, Friday afternoon, Friday evening, it's gone. So again, if I'm making decisions for football games in Atlanta, Greenville, or Charlotte, the idea is, can we play Thursday night? Probably not. It's on approach. Can we play Friday? Maybe. Most of the heavy rain's over with and beyond, but those fields are going to be in terrible conditions after what could be 5+ inches of rain just hours before it. So I wish I had more answers with regard to how your field is going to be, or if your school or your district needs to close. I'm going to give you the information you need to make those decisions, but it's not an easy decision as I get it. I've become very close with local superintendents, with local decision makers, and I give them my best call. And it's something that I feel blessed to be able to do. It's not an easy situation to have to make those calls when you're in charge of that many kids and erring on the side of safety. But I can tell you, impacts are going to happen. Widespread impacts from Florida, Georgia to South Carolina and North Carolina. But that track is going to be key. Where does that track? You've got a landfalling monster in Florida as a Cat 3 or Cat 4, and it's moving so fast that it's not going to have time to weaken. It's just blazing right on through, okay? So when that happens, you've got to know that those impacts are going to be higher than just the normal. So again, that wind gust swath sweeps right in. And again, you got a Cat 3, Cat 4 down here. You got a Cat 2 probably over Georgia. You got a Cat 1 over Augusta, probably just under a Cat 1 or a tropical storm here in the Western Carolinas through Charlotte, Greenville, even as far west as Atlanta. That's power outage type wind, all right? Thursday, Friday, folks. Thursday, Friday. This is not days, this is not way off in the future. This is days away. Days away. All right. What is the GFS model? And this is the new model. All right. This is the new one. Right on that right side, immediate right side of the core is where you get in on 5 to 7 inches of rain. This red right here would be 2 to 4 inches of rain. Now, flooding is a concern. Flash flooding is going to be a big concern. It comes down hard and heavy for 12, 18 hours, and then it's gone. But because it is moving so fast, that mitigates our flood risk to a degree. Now, there's a wild card in all this. A big wild card, in fact, and it's a front that is actually moving through the southeast right now. That front could, we call it training, could allow it to just kind of sit there and be the train tracks for additional training or flooding to occur. So that's something we'll be watching closely for. We're going to adjust for it, all right? We're just going to be on the fly this week. We're going to let you know as conditions warrant and just keep you posted around the clock here. The Canadian model just finished processing. You're seeing it first with me right here because it just finished. I wanted to make sure that it was done. So what's happening here, you see it dipping down right in here. That's the jet stream dipping down. It's going to scoop this thing up. That's why it accelerates. It gets caught up in the jet stream and just beelines it north. So this brings in rain as early as because the front's over. It's the front's right here. Front's right there. That brings the moisture right up along that front, and boy, it just blasts in Thursday night. This is a faster solution. Landfalls Thursday mid-morning, early afternoon. It's already in Atlanta by Thursday evening. Thursday night, Friday morning, it's in Kentucky. I mean, that's about a 12-hour head start than the other models. But nonetheless, that rain's hard and heavy through Friday morning, and then it dies down by Friday afternoon. The skies are clearing. So in that scenario, it would have the worst of the rain over with by Friday mid-morning. But let's check out the winds on that same model. I mean, this is what the concern is, folks. This is not a different model than I showed you a moment ago. So the models are really consistent with near hurricane force winds well inland. I think this inland wind threat is going to be such a problem with this system. You got 60 mile per hour winds in upstate South Carolina through Augusta, through Columbia, down here Statesboro, through Savannah, Rincon, Pooler, Richmond Hill. I mean, this is power outage type winds Thursday night. This model's 12 hours early. So Thursday night is the worst model on this Canadian model. It's a little bit of an earlier outlier, but not out of the question. And the rain on this is just significant. Right there on it, you got, 8, 9, 10 inches of rain on the Blue Ridge Escarpment. That's because that front's sitting over us. Again, a little bit of an outlier here on the models, but it's something we can't discount. The European AI model. This is new. You haven't heard me say that before. European has an AI model, and it's pretty darn good. It picked up on this early on before most of the other models did. It's got a similar look to the GFS, 973 Cat 2, maybe Cat 3. And because it's moving so quickly here, it's up through Savannah, Charleston, Columbia. So that would put the worst of the wind and the rain here along the I-95 corridor versus the Greenville, Atlanta area. All right, so this would be a bit of an eastern jog. So the more east it goes, the more you're on the west side, the better for your particular town. All right. How about the winds on that AI model? All right, here it comes. Blasting through is a Cat 2, Cat 3. Landfall on this would be Thursday evening, similar to what the other models are showing. Notice how much further east this is than the Hurricane Center's track. Remember, the Hurricane Center's track is right here, but still within the cone of uncertainty. But definitely, if that model trend holds, we'll see a shift in the cone by 5 o'clock. So keep that in mind. Let's get back to it. So if the other models were to hold true to this, you'd have this rolling north through Savannah, Georgia. The wind gust peak and to show you the difference on this European versus the GFS in Greenville would be 25 miles per hour versus 58 miles per hour. That's why the track is so important. Let's see if the old trusty European regular's in. It's not, but I'll show you the most recent traditional European model, not the AI version. Here it comes. Boy, it's so similar. So similar to the GFS. I'm going to roll this through one more time. Go back here. Here we go. I mean, it's so similar to that Canadian and that GFS model with 60 mile per hour winds up through Georgia, Western Carolinas, and Atlanta. All right. How about the rain on the European? It's got 2 to 4 in Western Carolinas, 5 to 6 around that path. Let's go back a model run on the traditional Euro, just kind of show you what that's looking like. Boy, I mean, that's 2 to 5. Let's look specifically, I got 2 more to show you at the specific tropical models only. What are the tropical models showing? I mean, very similar to the GFS, maybe a hint to the east, like the AI Euro was showing. I mean, not really east. I mean, that's got the core going right over Greenville. This would bring in a severe threat as well. Anytime you get the twisting and turning of the winds like this, tornado risks are directly along and east of that line. So this could be a severe weather day on Friday as well, with this rolling on through right there. So backing up into East Tennessee by Saturday. The good news is here, this is moving out quickly. Here's the other model from the tropical. Landfall is more toward Panama City, east through Mexico, Santa Rosa, Mexico Beach. It moves right up through Atlanta. That puts Greenville in a severe weather risk Thursday night, Friday. That's a faster solution as well. So we've got to watch it, folks. And I guess the question is there anything else out there? Do we need any more? No, we don't. The good news is once this goes through, these other guys out here in the Atlantic may get names, but they'll never be a threat to the United States. So, folks, simply put, we got to prepare for what could be a monster. My commitment to you is to keep you posted around the clock. Please let me know in the comment section where you're watching from right now, and and if you appreciate this kind of forecasting, please give my page here a subscribe. We really appreciate you following along here. And again, my commitment is to keep you and your family safe. Share this with your family and friends that could be along the coast, could be in the path of this, because again, I can't understate it enough. If your town ends up in the path of this thing right here, far inland are going to be those threats. Not just here at the coast where it would normally be. You're going to get those threats well inland of Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. The wind threat will be much higher farther inland because of that. All right, folks, stay tuned. Please check back in. You can't just listen to this one and then not check back in for 2 days, because I'm telling you, it will change. Those landfall locations will swing a little bit. But I'm telling you, we got a lot of consistency in the models telling us this thing's going to be big, and this thing's going to be big for a lot of people in the Southeast.